Hey there, it's Elisa, the Half Asian Tarot Queen. I'm mixing up the decks today. I'm doing I'm going to use the Mystic Monday. I'm kind of doing Citizen of the World theme today because I've got these two decks that are kind of Asian, and they all seem to have this weird rainbow sparkly, well, not all of them, but a lot of them have this rainbow sparkly thing going on. And then I'm going to pull out one of my Abraham Hicks decks. I actually got this one when I was in London. So, doing world travel themes today. But yeah, I'm mixing it up because I've been reunited with my collection of tarot decks, which has gotten a little ridiculous over time. Yeah, like this silver sparkly thing's kind of on the edge here. It's pretty cool. Hey. Ooh, we've got the tower here on the bottom, so. Ooh. We've got the tower and the Wheel of Fortune, so some big shifts going down. I can definitely verify that happening for myself, so that's pretty exciting. I'm going to pull some overall energies for the reading, and then we'll go from there. Just as a reminder, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I've got the videos arranged in a slightly eccentric way, in the sense that they're not arranged according to zodiac sign or according to date. All the readings are timeless, and they kind of interrelate, so it's almost like a daytime soap opera where there's like threads that seem to be interrelated, and they're constantly evolving, and they intersect and weave together in interesting ways. So I've kind of organized the channel according to these storyline threads, and there's a video on the main page of the channel that explains how this works if you are curious. I also, when relevant readings come up, I've been starting to link them together in the videos, so if there's a storyline that resonates with you, you can link back to other videos that have related, themes. And that's kind of how we're doing it. So I'm going to pull one more, and we'll start the reading. I've been moving around lately. Oops. Oh my gosh. I've been moving around lately, so the background is constantly evolving here. Okay, all right, well, we had an extra one. I don't know why, but we're going to go with that. Oh, and at the bottom of the deck, we have the Three of Swords, which this came up a lot in yesterday and the day before reading. There's this whole storyline that came up in the Divine Feminine reading about the 1212 portal, and there's an internal healing event that needs to happen to kind of trigger this sort of new beginning that's coming through with this portal. And so it's like healing this internal heartbreak that's kind of paving the way for all this change that's happening. So we'll see if that comes into play in this reading today. But for overall energies, I have the World, I have the Princess of Cups, I have the Ten of Cups, and I have the Queen of Swords. So this is interesting because it does kind of seem to go along with what's been going down. So with the World, this is kind of the beginning of a new cycle, the end of an old cycle and the beginning of a new cycle. So it's sort of, it's like a moment when you walk through a portal, because everything's changing. It's like stepping into a new world. And then we have the Princess of Cups. So this is like an offer of love or a message of love coming through. And it's just kind of the beginning stages of something. But then we have the Ten of Cups, which this came up also in that Divine Feminine portal reading, I believe, where, you know, it's happiness, abundance, fertility, everything that you would want, you know. It's kind of a abundance, fertility, happiness coming through. But we also have the Queen of Swords. So this is a no-nonsense queen who's kind of been through the ringer. She's, you know, she's got a lot of wisdom now because she's been through it all, and she doesn't really take any guff, and she really kind of slashes through the BS to get to the truth, and she doesn't take any guff. So what I'm getting from this is that there's this message that's going to have to come through, sort of a harsh message of reality that's going to have to come through in order to allow for this new beginning to unfold. So, and that might have something to do with healing this heartbreak, you know, or perhaps this message is going to be heartbreaking to somebody, but it's necessary because it's blocking. There's somebody or something that's not in alignment with this new beginning. They're out of alignment. And so, you know, sometimes that can lead to harsh reality checks. So it looks like there is going to be a harsh reality check that's going to be necessary to usher this new beginning. And then, see, we have this rainbow sparklies again here. This is a deck that it's a from China, I believe. But yeah, there's definitely a message coming in. And I'm going to pull some general energies to see if we can get some more insight into what's going on here, because it looks like a pretty big turning point that's happening. And some big changes coming through. Okay. Oops. Oh, wow. Okay. A couple more cards. I really like this deck. I haven't used it in a while because I've been separated from it, but it's a great one. Oh. All right, one more. Oh, there we go. Okay. And on the bottom of this deck, we have Justice. So that's interesting because this could be a Libra energy, but it's also just like wrongs being righted or justice coming through, which kind of goes along with what we were saying. You know, there's this harsh reality check that's going to have to happen because, you know, something or someone is out of alignment, and that's blocking this new beginning from coming through. So some wrong is going to have to be righted in order to allow this new beginning. Okay, so as far as the general energies, so on the first row we have the Nine of Cups, we have the King of Pentacles, and we have the Five of Pentacles. So what I'm getting from this, so there's a whole thread, and this King of Pentacles has been a recurring character in a thread called Phoenix. And so he was like this downtrodden king who had really been like nose to the grindstone, just like keeping things together, you know, but he was ascending to become an emperor, or this was his destiny, is some sort of ascension, which is interesting because right now we're going through this 12-12 portal of ascension. So it's almost like this ascension is starting to surface in the three-dimensional reality. He was ascending to an emperor, and he was, and then at that point, like the thread kind of evolved into another thread called Dynasty, where he became the emperor of this sort of family dynasty. But in order to do this, what's interesting was the action step that had to happen in order to bring this in was that some wrong had to be righted, and it involved speaking some truth or outing, some situation that was blocking him from coming into union with his counterpart. So there was like, I believe there's a video called Murakami Climax, which I will link, and it was telling the story of this king, and there was like some really toxic stalker situation that was blocking him and needed to be outed. It was blocking him from connecting with his counterpart. And it's interesting because this is wild. The card right next to him is the Five of Pentacles, and this card has been coming up a lot, and there's a whole thread around it called Stalkers, and it's all about this feeling of, lack or unworthiness, and then that this was the energy that needed to be healed so that one would stop attracting these stalker situations, which are born out of a feeling of lack. And what's also interesting is the card right underneath him is actually the Page of Swords, which is the stalker energy. So that's pretty crazy. So we'll have to refer to that thread. But then on the next row we have the Six of Swords. So it's his wish to move on from this toxic situation. Like, he wants to move on from this to a better situation, and then underneath him we have this stalker, and then underneath this Five of Pentacles, this lack energy, we have the Three of Wands. So, waiting for ships to come in, wanting to heal this energy. And, obviously this is a situation that's been in play for some time. So this is really bringing together a lot of threads that have been recurring. I'm going to go back to the Mystic Mondays deck and see if we can't get some guidance about how to move through this energy. Oh. Because, yeah, this does look like a pretty climactic point. Yeah, because I feel like it was like 2 days ago. It was like, the eye of the hurricane is like this moment of contemplation and calm before, the drama resumes. But it looks like in today's reading, there's drama that's resuming here. But, it's like these changes have been coming for some time from what it looks like. Oh my gosh, wow. Okay. So over these cards of, his wish of wanting to move on from this situation to a better situation, we have the Eight of Swords. So obviously there's a lot of anxiety about moving on from this situation, about, letting his wish be known. There's a lot of anxiety about expressing that. But then over this, the King of Pentacles and the Stalker, we have a Two of Cups energy, so there's a love here, and it's interesting because this really is kind of speaking to this video which I linked earlier called Murakami Climax, where there was this deep love connection, and it was being blocked because there was this stalker that was like hovering around and like blocking it, and so, but this kind of, this is like the bigger energy that's coming in, so it's almost like love is maybe being able to conquer this situation finally. And then as far as like healing this energy of lack, you know, and the sense of anticipation, we have the Moon card. So it's like almost like, you know, the way to heal this is to actually access your feelings, you know, like maybe he needs to actually express his love, you know, and he's going to have to get over his anxiety in order to do that, but this is what's going to heal this situation. He's got to express his love. So, pretty interesting stuff. So, this is the Law of Attraction. I'm going to pull one card from this deck just to finish out that reading. But, yeah, this is a deck that I got when I was in London. And I've always, well, actually, when I was in my 20s, I feel like somebody would tell me, they're like, have you heard of Abraham Hicks? Because a lot of the stuff that you say, you know, sounds like Abraham Hicks. And I was just like, no, I've never heard of him. But, you know, when I looked into it, I'm like, oh, yeah, this does kind of sound like me, you know. So, I mean, I've always kind of resonated with the messages, but, okay, so this is the card. It says, I can learn to prioritize my intentions. And the message is, it's important for you to identify which intentions you most want to fulfill, because as you prioritize, you give your singular attention to what is most important. And as you give that your singular attention, by the law of attraction, you attract power unto that intention that is most important to you. So I think the advice here is, you know, to be intentional about not focusing your energy on this anxiety, you know, but focusing it on the love, you know. Put your power into this energy, because that's how you're going to overcome the situation. So that's the message for today. We'll be back tomorrow with another message.